If you're ready to commit to quitting porn for the new year and you've resolved, I am going to quit explicit matter this year, you will fail unless you know what you're doing. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh, brain health and sex addiction recovery coach. I'm here to tell you you will fail unless you are prepared. So I wish I could tell you to set the intention to quit and then to start with the small, measurable goals and remember to focus on the rewards and make sure you have accountability, have the right attitude, and to fight for a new identity. And that sounds easy, but unfortunately, if you struggle with porn or explicit matter, it's more complex than that. So, in this video, I am going to give you 5 solid strategies that you can get started right away. Those 5 that I mentioned before, those are great to add to this solid strategy. But here's the first thing that I want you to know. If you're struggling with porn or explicit matter of any kind, and that's explicit matter in the real world or screen access or explicit matter in the screen, here's the deal. It has 4 facets or prongs to it. Number 1, it's a neurological disorder. I will explain it to you. Secondarily, it affects your biology, your body. Third, it affects your psychology, your mind, your thoughts, and your feelings. And fourth, it affects you in social contexts, in your relationship. So we know that porn affects you in a neuro-bio-psycho-social way. So you know what that means? The solution has to be neuro-bio-psycho-social in nature. And we know first and foremost that porn consumption and explicit matter consumption changes the way that your brain works. That's the neuro aspect. It's changed your brain development and functioning. That's the first and foremost thing that must be addressed so that then you can change the way you use your body, your mind in your relationships. So first, I want you to understand this. Many people tell me, Dr. Trish, I believe you. You don't have to believe me. This isn't an opinion. You have to understand. That's why I'm here to educate, empower, and inspire you to understand the truth and then act on it. So, first and foremost, it's imperative that you understand these 4 pieces. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into addressing those 4 pieces. What can be done? So, first, you have to understand them, then you must address them. Number 1, on a neurological level, that's the work that I do. I provide different types of educational programs and therapeutic programs that address the underlying neurological dysfunction. So the first step that I offer is called a qEEG brain map. You can see how your brain is performing and how it has been affected by porn or explicit matter consumption. Once you see the dysregulation or the dysfunction in your brain, it's pretty easy to see the path back. The path back is a neuromodulation technique so that we can help you rewire your brain as quickly as possible. When we do that, you begin to feel and perform better fast. That means your mind feels better, clearer focus, clarity, motivation. Your body feels better. You know what that means? You feel stronger, confident, and you can alleviate sexual arousal dysfunction of all kinds, including ED. So your body and your mind will work better when your brain works better. That's the crux of the work that my team and I do at Dr. Trish Leigh and Company. That's the neuro aspect. But of course, we also cover the biological aspect, which is teaching you how to use your body better in healthier ways to, first of all, reset the pleasure pathways back to real life pleasure. Get pleasure, joy, happiness, and connection out of your life again. Secondarily, we teach you how to build healthy sexual arousal. It's the opposite of how arousal happens in porn and explicit matter consumption. When you go into porn, you hit an easy button, your brain gets flooded with dopamine, you feel good fast, but you don't learn how to build arousal in a healthy sexual relationship. You need to learn that, and then you'll build the muscle memory around it. And we're skill building here. You will have a skill for the rest of your life. When it comes to psycho, we want to teach you how to use your mind in a healthier way. Have healthy thoughts, tap into your feelings, feel how you really feel, know what you think, and have the courage to act on it. If you've been caught in an explicit matter cycle, that's one of escapism and isolation. Instead of feeling, you divert yourself to high levels of dopamine to not feel. That's why you feel numbed out, which can lead to low motivation, and sexual arousal dysfunction. When we teach you to use your mind in a healthier way, your body follows and it's reinforcing and hardwiring in those new, healthier neural pathways in your brain. That's why, if you do it properly, you can synergize all four of these components. And then clearly, it shows up in your relationships. No longer are you isolating into the screen. Instead, you're building healthy intimacy with not only a sexual partner, but with your friends and your family. And you build healthy intimacy with a lucky person, that honey of yours. And now you can learn how to build sexual arousal and get joy, pleasure, and contentment and connection out of your real life experience, this one experience that you have that go around on this marble in the sky. All right, so that's number two. You have to understand neuro-bio-psycho-social. Number two, you have to know what to do about it. Use neurofeedback to rewire your brain to work in a healthier way so that your body, your mind works in a healthier way to get on purpose in your relationships. Okay, number three is you have to understand also that there's been some primary changes that have happened, and there's a couple other mechanisms at play running underneath a porn or explicit matter addiction or habit. So, first is dopamine dependency. I've alluded to that, but basically, when you were young and you found explicit matter, your brain development changed. We know this from a lot of science, many scientific studies. Your brain has changed to need higher levels of dopamine to feel good. Ultimately, what that means is you feel bad when you're not consuming explicit matter because you're in a dopamine deficit. Your brain has a dopamine dependency back to whatever you linked it to feel good in the department of explicit matter. You have a dependency. You need it. That is the most important thing to understand. Your brain changed, so you need more dopamine. But when we help you to rewire your brain won't need as much dopamine anymore. And then we teach you to find healthy levels of dopamine from healthy, real world pleasure sources to round out your toolkit, skill building, moving forward. Okay, so your brain has changed and there's a dopamine dependency. There's also a habit loop at play. So when you found explicit matter, you built a habit around it, either in your physical space or your mental space. That led to triggers and cravings. So now, if it's a certain time of day, you'll have an urge to consume explicit matter. If your partner leaves for the weekend, you'll have an urge to consume explicit matter. If it's Tuesday morning and this is when you usually consume, you'll have a craving. That is a habit loop. Yes, it's related to the dopamine dependency, but it's also different. So, what I help you do is change your mental and physical space so that that no longer happens. And essentially, when your brain rewires and it hardwires into the optimal mode, you won't have those urges anyway. So, number four is thinking about pleasure. Right now, you've linked your brain to go back to the screen and back to honestly distorted unreality of sexual experiences for high levels of dopamine. All the pleasure is in those sexual experiences that aren't real. What I want is to teach you how to get a real world pleasure pathway reset going so that now your brain works in a healthier mode. We can literally reset the pleasure pathways in those neural circuits in your brain. And then, secondarily, you learn how to go to your life for pleasure and you won't need to go to the screen anymore. The last thing I want you to know, number five, is that most people cannot do this alone. I wish they could. I've made over 1,500 videos on this channel to help people try to do this by themselves. Many people try and they will get a little bit of momentum going. But remember, the underlying issue is a neurological dysregulation. And when you try to do it alone, you're trying to use your social context, your mind, and your body to rewire your brain. And that indeed does work, but it takes a lot more time. And in this particular case, it increases the struggle and the suffering, many times sending you back into the screen. When you first and foremost rewire your brain, and you basically improve that neurological dysfunction so it no longer exists, then you can ride off into the sunset, working on your body, mind, and social relationships. So I want you to recognize if you've been at this thing for a while and you're trying and failing, it's not because it can't be done. It's because it can't be done alone. That's why I'm here. please go over to drtrishleigh.com. We have hundreds, probably thousands of blog posts there of information for you. But first and foremost, schedule a consultation with a brain health professional who knows how to help you through your own journey. It's private. It is designed personally for you to help you take the first step forward. This is not a simple problem. It's a complex one, but I know how to help you, and I would absolutely love to be part of your journey so that this next year can be the last year that you set a New Year's resolution to quit porn because you've succeeded. All right. I hope to see you in a consultation so we can get your brain moving in the right direction. And as always, control your brain or it will control you.